When it comes to Bernie Sanders' debate performance at the PBS Democratic debate last night, much of the media has made very clear what they think. They were not impressed. And it did not take long into the debate for that to become clear. And it became clear when Bernie Sanders made a little joke, a little jab at Hillary Clinton after she said something about what she would do when she got into office, into the White House. And this happened.
And I think once I'm in the White House, we will have enough political capital to be able to do that.
Well, Secretary Clinton, you're not in the White House yet. And let us be clear.
So, you then,
what a gaffe.
He had barely
How do you recover from that gaffe?
You don't. You draw out. You get out of the race.
That's almost as bad. What is he at a Rotary Club or something? He looks horrible. Come on, give me a break.
I mean, Jimmy, you know what it's like to have a joke bomb. You move on, right?
You move on, even if it happens thousands and thousands of times.
Again and again and again. People are leaving the room and getting drinks, talking to their friends.
And there was a little bit of laughter, by the way. And this isn't, people are acting as if that's just Bernie supporters and Hillary supporters in there. It's not. It's the guests of very politically connected people.
Yes, and what he should have said is what I say when a joke falls flat, is I get paid the same either way, folks, laugh or not, I don't care.
Which is a good recovery.
Okay, but I'm
going to use that.
But so unfortunately, they've suckered us into spending more time on this because, so that's what John's setting up here is the framing, right? So they all focus on that, which we couldn't believe because as we covered it live, he had 3 awesome zingers. And almost none of them were. Kissinger was mentioned in a couple of stories. So to be fair, right? So when he came back and said, Kissinger is not a friend of mine and not someone that I would ask for advice from, and he delivered it in a way that where the crowd was like, ooh, right? And he said, now the line we loved most, when he said, now let's be honest, does anyone really believe that Wall Street is giving all this money to politicians for fun? And the crowd's like, wow, right?
That was the biggest line of the night.
And then another great singer was like, she keeps criticizing him on attacking Obama, and he said, now one of us on the stage ran against President Obama, and it wasn't me, right? And wow, and none of that is talked about, and instead every headline's like, oh, yeah, falls flat, singer falls flat. Are we watching the same goddamn debate?
All right, now, look, thankfully I didn't see the debate last night.
Oh.
So what I did, though, was I've read 35 stories on it today.
Yeah, my guess is 34 of them thought, Hillary Clinton nailed it. She won.
Didn't hear the thing you brought up there, hit Zinger falling flat in any story.
Well,
it's my first
this
exposure.
part was, as I was alluding to, is throughout the actual debate. They moved on to attacking
Okay, but I didn't hear anything about that, so I don't know that there was any Zinger falling flat. I heard a lot about Kissinger. I heard a lot about the Kissinger line, and a lot about attacking her, and that there were no questions then back to her about the no questions about the FBI, or excuse me, the State Department Inspector General, and no questions about her speeches.
Yeah, I saw that there was no questions about the State Department Inspector General in the midst of an article on CNN about how clearly she had won. Okay, so. John, what was the overall assessment of the media?
Let's bring up this first snapshot. You're going to see Mediaite, and this is going to be Mediaites, and then Vox. This is during the debate. Instantly, that was all over. They had articles printed for that. Let's go forward to the next. You're going to see Slow and Steady. One Clinton debate from the Boston Globe, I believe that is.
Oh, I read that whole article, by the way.
Yeah, well, here are 2 sections.
That was like a joke. It was like from the Onion almost, that article from the Globe.
It seems like it. I don't think he realized.
No.
So sections from that Boston Globe article. It underscored what is destined to become one of the central questions of the Democratic campaign. What exactly is realistic for progressives to expect to accomplish in a deeply divided nation? It led to what was destined to become one of the central, framed by me, questions of the debate. Yes. He also says, Sanders, by contrast, seems something of a one-note Bernie, focusing as much as he did on Wall Street and returning again and again and again to that theme. I love how quickly he has adopted her new attack on Bernie Sanders that did not exist before that debate, that he only has one issue that he cares about. She says it in her closing remarks, so he can't respond to it, and then instantly that's what the articles are focused on. Calm, cool, and effective there at the New York Times. And then
the New York
next
Times
one,
has 3 different articles.
Exactly, yes. So we're going to show you the New York Times ones. Paints Bernie Sanders' plans as unrealistic. Apparently he didn't respond because I don't see anything in that headline indicating that he did. And then who won the debate? Critics say Hillary Clinton shone, which I'm sure some of them did say that. Clinton embraces Obama and wins debate, which she did embrace Obama. That is objectively true.
Shone sounds like the rap version of the word shine.
It does actually, yeah.
And it's not like a real way. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I feel. I mean, I felt it. We generally feel like he won, although I said it was mixed in last night's debate. Yeah, they're allowed to think that whoever they want to think won it. It's just very predictable the way that they adopt her talking points instantly, as if they were a part of her staff. And that's not to say that all the articles were in favor of her. I saw articles that pointed out that she had called Obama's foreign policy naive and uninformed back in the past election. And so there were others who are talking about Kissinger. By the way, watch my final judgment from today where I break down his history and the legacy of his history. But it was very fast for them to immediately declare that she had won.
It was overwhelming. So I saw two on Kissinger. I saw one that talked about another fault she had in the debate. So three, and then about 24. Well, she won. She's awesome. She's the best. Now, look, I'm going to do a really ironic defense of the media here. They don't mean it in a bad way. Like, they're not like, we will skew this in favor of Hillary Clinton because we love her, right? Oh, we can't stand Bernie Sanders. No, and there's no conspiracy. I've said that 1,000 times, right? So the reason that they think that is because they are from the establishment. So and not because they're rich and stuff. I don't think this guy writing the Boston Globe is enormously wealthy and doesn't want his taxes raised, right? That's true of some of the news anchors on TV, but not true of this guy writing for the Boston Globe. So they've just,
as far as we know,
they're in this bubble together. They've been in this business for so long, covering Washington, and so when they see it, like when we look at it, right? We go, oh, well, Bernie Sanders made this point, which we thought were great, and we explain why. We try to take our bias out of it as much as we can, but as I said over and over again last night, I'm not sure we did, right? And for them, what's a little annoying is they don't realize their bias. They just think these are facts, these are reality. She's more realistic, she's better. He's, unrealistic. He's going to do all these things that I've heard for 30 years suck, are terrible, would be disastrous, and I've internalized that, and I now think that. I mean, going again to Scott Lehigh, who wrote this at the Boston Globe, she was conventional and pleasant, he says. And if you grew up in Washington and she's polite and whatever, he was quote, something of a sour pickle, okay? And he says she
Which
had...
she'd like extra of on the side.
Let's take some sour pickles. He says she was far and away the more politically realistic idea in one case. He talks about her real-world practicality, and it goes on and on. And one last thing, sorry. Sanders thinks a candidate who takes money from Wall Street can't crack down on them. Well, Obama did. No, okay. Well, that's the only part where I go, okay, I'm going to stop giving you a break that you live in this bubble, and all of you guys live in the bubble, and all of you think Hillary Clinton is the kind of politician we know and love and cherish, and Bernie's the radical. That's why I live in this bubble. Okay. But on that one, wait. Now, you're a political reporter, right? Obama, I can show you 1,000 different ways that he did not crack down on Wall Street. There are no prosecutions, right? And even this Dodd-Frank thing that's supposed to be, so tough, only people in Washington think it's tough. People and I'm not talking about liberal economists like Stiglitz, et cetera, that said it's a joke and it's weak. I'm talking about Neil Barofsky, who's knee-deep in this stuff, wrote a book about it, deeply wanted to help the Democrats reform it, saying, no, it's a joke. Paul Volcker, there's a thing called the Volcker Rule. He said, he's the former head of the Fed. He's a conservative. He said, can you take my name off of the Volcker Rule because it's so goddamn weak, right? So then you don't really know. You don't know. You just go with conventional wisdom. And at the end, you're representing what Washington thinks, not what the people in Boston think, not what people nationally think, and you just can't seem to break through that bubble.
Yeah. So I think what the problem is the peculiar way. I think much of what you say is spot on. We look at it. They look at it. All of us look at it through our own prism, and that prism is very, very different. First of all, because Bernie is, I think her best tactic is to say he's a one-note guy. Like, just from I would keep saying that, right? Now, I don't know if it'll work because I don't think she has a lot of outs here into how to attack him, right? Because he's not about to get indicted, right? And so, but these people, and I heard a radio show that I listened to a lot of POTUS radio on Sirius XM, which is really good. A lot of it is, and they were quite candid about the debate. And they all hate Hillary. That pretty much that seemed to come across. But but they've seen every debate. You've seen every debate, right? And so Hillary does at least changes things up a little bit, right? And Bernie, again, says these same things again and again and again. The flip side is you'll get to the poll, Bernie is and if you want to diminish Bernie, you say he's doing what Rubio did. But Rubio did it poorly. If you do it well, it's quite effective. Then it is staying on message. But so when Bernie does it now, these guys have heard it all before, and they have heard for 30 years that this is radical and dangerous and unelectable, right? Can't possibly win. Whereas most people in Nevada, probably this first debate they checked out, right?
True.
And they're hearing what people who are made aware of Bernie are clearly hearing, whether I like it or not, or whether anybody likes it or not, but they are enormously receptive to this message. Yeah. So it doesn't matter whether he's surly. The fact is that he's surly. What did he say? What did he call it?
A sour pickle.
You know what people like? That. Here's what they don't like. The one who seems political. Because his sour pickleness, you clearly get the feeling of, oh, he's probably a sour pickle on Saturday mornings too. Like, that's who he is. And they like that authenticity.
His sour picklearity is what I think most people are looking for in a candidate. Can I make 2 quick points? You said, I also saw, last night, when she said that I'm not a single issue candidate, I thought that was a big loser because what that says, because most voters have a priority of what they are concerned about. She said, I don't. So I'm not really going to, even though her whole thing is I'm a fighter, when she says I'm not a single issue candidate, I mean, I don't really give a shit about anything enough to really fight for it. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I got a lot of other shit I have to do. So that just makes everybody just deflated. If you have an issue like getting money out of politics or universal health care, whatever your thing is, you're going to be upset at that answer. Yeah. And I saw people tweet out that was a big winner. People saying everybody saying that's a big winner. That is the worst. Because they can't think like an average voter. An average voter, I'm sitting there going, I never will vote for a guy who says I'm not a single issue candidate ever. What is the reason for you to be in this campaign? You don't have a reason. That's what she just said. When she says I'm not a single issue candidate, what I hear is I don't really have a reason for being, and there's no point to my candidacy except I like power and I want to keep things the way they are, which is the definition of a conservative. And one more thing. When they keep saying, well, what is it? Bernie keeps these inflated ideas of what you can get done and what is it right to be realistic, right? So let's just remember the last guy who kicked Hillary Clinton's ass, his campaign motto was, yes, we can. And they thought big enough that a black guy with a Muslim name could win a presidential election in America, which we now see how racist it still is. And he did it. So what Hillary Clinton is saying, yes, we can, if it's realistic. And that is a loser.
Okay. Well, now, I got to say 2 quick things about all of this. One is, again, goes towards their perspective, right? So they see someone who, in Hillary Clinton, who has a studied political cadence, and they reward high marks for that. She is a good politician. She doesn't stumble. She doesn't pull a Rick Perry and go, whoops, I forgot.
Super quick on her feet on a
very good, quick on her feet. What the American people see is a politician.
Yes.
Right? So one guy is honest. That's why he scores so high in every poll for honest and trustworthy. He destroys her in that category.
And Cenk, and if she were running against Martin O'Malley and Jim Webb and Joe Biden, she'd be winning.
That's right.
That's right.
She'd be crushing. So they look at it and they can't get it out of their head that the good political cadence is a bad thing, especially in this election. It's going to hurt you. You sound like a political robot.
Did you hear Trump today talking about cursing? He said, I want to curse. I'm not going to do it. Should I do it? And the crowd's like, no, do it. He says, no, I'm not going to do it. Because they get on me with like, you guys want me to do it, don't you? They're like, yeah. He's like, come on. Should I do it? Nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, wait, right. I hate it. Right.
Because he sounds like a human being.
That's right.
So they can't. Okay, and the other thing is, you can't compare, and this is very important in terms of how you present a political campaign. The Rubio Bernie Sanders comparison is completely wrong. Okay, so on 2 fronts. One, I rewatched Rubio's glitch during the last Republican debate when he kept repeating the talking point.
The notion that he didn't know he was making a glitch. He knew
he knew it. You got to dispel that notion. You're right. Okay, and so and when I rewatched it, I was amazed because the Barack Obama talking point that he had was disconnected from the point that Chris Christie was making and that he was answering. Chris, you didn't go to shovel the snow. And I want to dispel the notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. Wait a minute, those two things are unconnected. And he did it in an unconnected way 3 times until you were like, what the hell's going on? Wait a minute, we were talking about snow, we were talking about this. Why did you inject the Barack Obama talking point again? Oh, this guy's a freaking robot. Bernie Sanders doesn't do it that way. He does it like, I'm going to pound this message home. This is what I care about, right? And so if you want to talk about the criminal justice system, you're right, it's terrible. Let me tell you how terrible it is. Here's the stats on it. Here's how it's screwed over African Americans. But how are you going to fix it? You're going to fix it by getting money out of politics so that the scummy politicians can't get money to screw over the criminal justice system. There's a logical connection. It makes sense. And he does it in an earnest way. The real comparison is Rubio the robot versus Hillary Clinton. Same political cadence. In the beginning, what did the mainstream media guys say? Rubio is great. He's got great political cadence, right? Until there was the glitch. No. The cadence is the problem. I mean, the glitch is an extra problem, but the cadence itself is the core problem.